Well, here I am recording my first movie review. I gotta be honest, this is like the third time I've tried to film this, and it's harder than I thought it would be. Kinda nervous, to be honest with you. Welcome all fellow wannabes, welcome to the channel. I am Gabriel Fast, I do claim to be the wannabe critic. Today we're reviewing the first movie that I have done by myself on the channel to kind of jumpstart myself into these movie reviews. So I thought I would start with my favorite movie of all time. It's really hard to talk about your favorite movie of all time without giving a play-by-play. And the first two times I tried to record this video, that's exactly what happened. I have now decided I'm not going to do that. As much as I really want to, I am not popular enough to risk losing an audience to a play-by-play review. I'm just going to kind of tackle some of the things that I personally love about the movie, and that'll be part of the review process. So, long story short, we know exactly how this movie goes if you've watched Empire Strikes Back. Good guys are in hiding, bad guys find them, good guys have to escape, friends get split up at the same time, everybody converges at the end, bad guys win, the end. I feel like that's a pretty good summation without doing a play-by-play. So let's talk about some of the things that I love. First of all, the scenery in this movie, just kind of how we go from Hoth to Dagobah to inside the meteorite to Bespin. You have all these iconic areas in the movie, and it's just so aesthetically pleasing and interesting throughout the entire movie. It's just undeniably good. Not to mention, like, I always thought about the stark contrast between, like the white room that Vader is in with his, dark presence kind of looming over everything. You really get the sense like, hey, this guy isn't to be trifled with. I love kind of the ongoing mystery as to why Darth Vader is obsessed with Luke Skywalker. Why does he care so much? Whenever Luke goes to Dagobah and trains with Yoda, and then he goes into the Force Cave, and Yoda's like, your weapons. Need them, you will not. Luke goes ahead and just takes his lightsaber in there anyways. It's like, dude, you're the little green guy that I just met. I'm not trusting you. And then has that Force vision with Vader. He's fighting with Vader and does the thing, chops the head off, and then the faceplate explodes and Luke sees his face. We start to kind of get the wheels turning like, okay, these guys are definitely connected somehow. Don't know how yet, but we know that they're connected. I love the camaraderie between all the characters and how you feel like at the end of the movie, like the bad guys really won. Like you just kind of throw your hands up and you're like, well, what are we going to do now? Like Luke got his freaking hand chopped off. He didn't have a lightsaber anymore. Han got frozen, is going God knows where. There's all these different things that kind of play into it. You really feel a sense of defeat. That made me care about this universe and these characters so much, even as a little kid. Now, I do have to say, I was never, able to watch the original tape back in the day, or, the original version back in the day because, I'm young. I just wasn't able to have it. So the versions that I got were the digital remasters, on the VHS tapes. We had, like, the sleeve that had all three movies, like, with the gold and black lettering. It was freaking sweet. And I used to watch those all the stinking time. Like, they're just such good movies. But it was interesting, like, kind of the mystery surrounding the Emperor. That was always a question I had was, were those scenes in the original movie in the same way? Like, what did those scenes look like back in the day? Because, like, Palpatine, like, kind of looks newer, if that makes sense. It was just always something that I kind of wondered about. Han and Leia, I mean, you kind of have the classic love story between them. Like, there's that classic line at the end of the movie when Leia and Han have kind of had, like a lot of tension going on the entire movie. And Leia just doesn't really want to admit to her feelings, but Han knows how she feels about her. And at the end of the movie, she's like, right before Han gets frozen in carbonite, she's like, I love you. And he goes, I know. So classic. And Chewie's all, as everything's going on, the crazy music's playing, he gets frozen. It's just, it's sad. You really feel like one of your heroes has been defeated. The feeling of uncertainty is there. You don't know exactly what's going to happen moving forward if you're watching this for the first time. One thing that I hear people talk about with this movie a lot is just how there's a very direct sense of good versus bad. Vader's bad because he's bad. Luke is good because he's good. And nothing's really muddled. That's been one of the biggest criticisms about the new movie is, okay, well, apparently everybody's a gray Jedi. The good guy's the bad guy in some ways, and the bad guy's the good guy in some ways. Kind of playing both sides, and people don't like that. I personally do, but maybe I'm just weird. I love how this movie sets the groundwork for the definitive good versus evil. It's a tale as old as time. And it's just done so well because you can kind of see glints of interesting motivation from characters like Darth Vader, who at the end, whenever he's fighting his son, whenever we learn who he is, he's like, join me and we can rule the galaxy. That just kind of spawns all these different questions. Like, what does he mean we'll rule the galaxy? Like, is Vader, it just spawns all these different questions. Let's talk about the music for a second. The music is top notch. Like, you have the first time you ever hear the Imperial marches in this movie. Yoda's theme is incredible. The music that's playing as Han's being frozen in carbonite, like, that's iconic. Everything about this movie, music-wise and sound-wise, just totally is iconic. Even the Tauntauns, like the sound that they make and just everything that's happening, it's just undeniably good. I think one thing that I would have liked to seen a little bit more in this movie, even now, and I think this is pretty much for all Star Wars movies except for the prequels, is, I don't know, I think it would have been kind of dope to see a little more lightsaber action on Dagobah, but that's just me. I know that Star Wars is more than just space wizards and laser swords, but still, I mean, I wish the original movies had more lightsaber action in them. I think in a lot of ways, this movie does a really good job of playing it safe in how they tell the story. They know exactly what they're doing, they know exactly what they are, and it's executed almost perfectly. If you watch this movie and try and find any negatives, you're going to be hard-pressed to find any, because there's not really any there. You could say, like, yeah, some of the performances are a little whiny and annoying. It's how they're supposed to be. This is the first time you see Yoda. Anytime you watch that first encounter with Yoda, I crack up every single time because it's so freaking hilarious. There's also so many other questions that kind of go in your mind, like whenever Vader is hiring the bounty hunters to find Luke and Leia, you just are like, man, what's that cool looking droid? And who's that lizard guy? And what's all this stuff? And it just starts kind of adding all these layers to the universe. This movie is a universe builder. It's a world builder for the 40 plus years that we have of Star Wars. The movie does a good job of not only expanding and making the characters we already know more interesting, but they also do a good job of introducing new characters, like Lando. I don't know, I just feel like there's so much good in this movie that deserves every bit of praise. Some people call this movie overrated, and I say, how is it overrated? It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It changed the way we view science fiction. The first movie did that, but this really did that in terms of character development and how a story makes us feel. Plus, it set up one of the best plot twists of all time as well. Now, I'm purely speaking as a Empire Strikes Back stan. I love Empire Strikes Back. So, I guess this review is biased. In the end, I can't say enough good things about it, and the more I try and think about negative things to say, the more I'm just like, there's just not a lot there, So as far as a score goes, I think it's time to score this bad boy. The first movie review score I'm giving here, I gotta go 10 out of 10. It's a near perfect movie. If you think otherwise, I would definitely want to know in the comments below why you think that. I think in so many ways, my love of Star Wars comes from Empire Strikes Back as well as Return of the Jedi. It's just so good. Empire's way better, but you know what I mean. So anyways, what did you think of this review? Was it concise enough? On my camera, it's showing me I have like 12 minutes of footage here, and a lot of it was me just literally sitting doing this. Because I always have so much I'm always thinking about so much and what I want to say, but then sometimes whenever I get behind the camera, I'm like, I think you get it. You know what I mean? I'm trying this new thing out. It's going to be a while before I find my groove and what exactly I like. But in the end, yeah, I love this movie. And if you don't love this movie, I want to know why. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching this review. I really, really appreciate it. I hope that this was a good first entry, and hopefully things will only get better. Please take a look at popcultusa.com. They sent me this dope natural light hat because they know I love natural light. If you use my personal code _wannabecritic, you'll get 30% off your entire order. Man, that's a deal. They have all kinds of different like shirts, hats, things like that have different fandoms from anywhere from beer to music to movies to video games. Right in my wheelhouse. So definitely check that out and use my code _wannabecritic. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. I'm Gabriel Fast. I will always be the wannabe critic.